When the republic is confused and when the law is twisted, when the word is ignored, there must be an immediate briefing. Fellow Americans, here he is, straight from the heart of Toto town, within the clandestine chambers of the world-famous conservative college, America's favorite professor, officially recognized as first in the nation. This is The Briefing with Professor Toto.
Well, here we are, my fellow Americans, just you and me. Welcome to The Briefing. I'm Professor Toto. You know, I've been doing this a long time. Podcasting, video streaming, big crowds, lots of noise. But today's different. Today it's just me and you. Maybe you're driving home from work or laying in bed with the lights off, sitting on your back porch, hopefully with a cup of coffee while the world is sleeping. And I want to talk to you about something that's been eating at me for a long time. And I think perhaps it's been eating at you. I'm going to find out today. I want to talk about rabbit holes. Not the fun kind like Alice in Wonderland, but I'm talking about those sinkholes, those rabbit holes that swallow good people whole and it never spits them out. You know the people I'm talking about, your neighbors, your friends, fellow MAGA soldiers that have fought in the trenches for President Donald Trump right along with the rest of us. And we turn and look and suddenly they're gone. They're no longer part of the movement, but they are in a rabbit hole, the kind of hole that has taken some of the best minds that I've ever known, and it never gives them back. And I want to be really honest with you today. I've sort of been scared to do this episode because I know what I'm about to say. Some of my friends are not going to like it. Some of you listening right now might not like it. But I've learned something after 40 years of ministry, and it's this. The things that need to be said the most are usually the things that people want to hear the very least. So, with that understanding, here it is. We have a problem in these United States of America, in society. And it's not the problem you're thinking. It's not the left. It's not the media. It's not the deep state. It's not the cabal, even though all of those people give us plenty of reasons to be suspicious. The problem is we no longer stop at the stop signs. We have forgotten how to stop. We have forgotten to say, or how to say rather, I've done everything I can do. The rest belongs to God or Yahweh. We've forgotten how to close a chapter and then open a new one. We've forgotten in America how to live after we've been so disappointed. And instead, we have built an entire culture around the rabbit holes. I call it on my weekly podcast, my video podcast, every Tuesday night at 7 Central on YouTube, the Toto Tonight Show. I call it the Rabbit Hole Revival. And I want to break that down for you because 50 years later, we still have people absolutely convinced that Israel killed John F. Kennedy, JFK. We have people that believe sincerely, passionately, that Elvis Presley is alive and well, probably working at a gas station in Michigan. We have entire communities built, Facebook groups, built around questions that can never, ever be answered. I'd like for you to think about that. And here's what breaks my heart. Some of the smartest people I know are trapped in that rabbit hole. Some of the absolute most brilliant people I know, they went in just looking for truth. They just had questions, but they never came out. They're part of the rabbit hole revival because it is a religious movement. That's why I call it the rabbit hole revival. It's a religion unto itself. It's got all of the markings of a revival. Number one, it's got true believers. Sincerely, they believe it. It's got its own prophets, now known as podcasters. It's got doctrines that you are not allowed to question in the rabbit hole revival. And it's got an altar where people sacrifice their peace of mind, their time, their families, their friends, their sanity, all in the name of seeking truth. But my fellow American, that is not truth seeking. That is captivity. And tonight, I want to offer you something different. I want to offer you deliverance from chasing an endless rabbit hole. Now stick with me, please, because I'm about to introduce you to a phrase that might just change your life. It's not a Bible verse, even though it lines up with the Bible. It's not a political slogan like MAGA or America First. It's a boring legal phrase. It's very procedural, unglamorous, and it's a phrase that most Americans, maybe even you, have never thought about for more than 10 seconds of your life. But I'm going to tell you, this unglamorous, boring phrase buried in the lexicon of American jurisprudence has protected more innocent people, preserved more freedom, restrained more mobs than any slogan ever painted on a protest sign. Now, of course, you want to know what I'm talking about. I don't blame you. That means you're smart. I'm talking about a phrase that we know as the preponderance of the evidence. I'm going to repeat it. The preponderance of the evidence. I know it sounds like something from a courtroom drama that you would fall asleep watching, but hear me out, because what I'm teaching you today, it's not legal trivia. This is how civilizations survive. Let me explain the difference between two things that people confuse all the time. Maybe you have confused it. Have you ever had someone tell you, "Show me the evidence and I'll believe it"? Bonk, that's a wrong answer. In America, we do not believe evidence. Did you know that? As a matter of fact, you're not a good American if you believe evidence. Now, number one, you're not supposed to believe accusations. You say, well, surely I can believe it if I see the evidence. No, you cannot. Not if you're a true American. Because if you're a true American, you have a higher standard. It's called the preponderance of all the evidence. Evidence is what you have. The preponderance of evidence is how much it can persuade. They're not the same thing. And confusing them is how bad arguments dress up as good arguments, because evidence is just raw material. Documents, testimony, video clip, data, records. Evidence answers one question: what's been presented. That's all. That's all that evidence does. And here's what nobody tells you. Evidence can be weak. Evidence can be laughable. It can be one-sided. It can be completely irrelevant. Simply having evidence proves nothing. A single receipt is evidence. You know, we like to say that podcaster brought the receipts. So what? So what? That's not how we operate in America. A rumor from your cousin's neighbor's ex-wife, that's evidence as well. Garbage can be evidence. Evidence just means that something has been put on the table. It doesn't mean it's worth anything. But preponderance is something entirely different. That's where the scales of justice, that beautiful symbol, comes in. Because preponderance answers a different question. When you put everything on both sides of the scale, which way does it tip? Not by a mile, not beyond all shadows of doubt, just more likely than not. 51% versus 49%, a feather's difference. And here's what's beautiful about this standard. It forces restraint. It says your accusation doesn't win just because it exists. Your theory doesn't become truth just because you believe it's hard enough. Your evidence doesn't convict anyone until it outweighs the evidence from the other side. And my fellow Americans, that is where we have dropped the ball in the world of podcasting, especially since 2020 and the Donald Trump election. You have to understand, in a free society, we cannot live by accusation alone. Neither can we live by accusations with evidence or receipts. A free society lives by weights and measures. I need you to hear me, my friend. We are living in an age where accusation travels faster than judgment, where evidence is confused with proof, where suspicion is mistaken for superior wisdom. Everyone has a theory now. Everyone has receipts, and everyone has done their research. But here's what I've noticed. Nobody accepts a verdict anymore. You see, we accept receipts, accusations, theories, suspicion, but not a verdict from a real court, from real investigations. Because accepting a verdict means you might have to stop investigating yourself. You might have to stop chasing that rabbit hole when you get a verdict from the court. And stopping feels like losing. Even if you're proven wrong, we have forgotten how to stop at the stop signs. So we don't stop. We keep going down and down and down into holes that have no bottom. My fellow American, that's not truth seeking. That's how civilizations come apart at the seams. Here's something I wish I had learned years ago. Preponderance of the evidence, it's not just a legal standard, it's mercy. It protects the accused from the accuser. It tells the mob, sit down. It says to very angry voices that have a theory, you don't get to destroy someone's life based on suspicion or evidence. You need weight. That's not a technicality, my friend. That's civilization teaching itself how not to panic. And America, we need to fall in love once again with that phrase, the preponderance of the evidence, because without it, rabbit holes are our future. I'll be right back.
Have you considered when you spend your money at these mega corporations where it's going? Are you aware that your hard-earned money is being used to support political corruption, which leads to poor federal leadership, hurting our economy, contributing to the overall detriment of our society? This is heavy stuff to think about, I know, but it's time we fought back. Introducing Professor Toto's The Patriot Spying Club. Here, we are a club that gives you the power to invest in companies that uphold patriotic and conservative values your family can respect. Rather than spending your money with these major corporations, we've partnered with a direct consumer company that offers over 400 high-quality, sustainable, and effective products that can be delivered fast, directly to your front door. So many patriots across America has joined us in this walkaway movement. Now it's your turn. Go to www.buywalmart.com to join Professor Toto's The Patriots Buying Club today.
Welcome back, my fellow Americans, my MAGA constituents. I want to tell you the subject we're talking about, it's not a new idea. American lawyers in a courtroom, our founding fathers, did not come up with this idea, the preponderance of the evidence. I'll tell you who did. Yahweh, the Almighty Creator, your God. It says in Proverbs 11 and verse 1, a false weight is an abomination to Yahweh, but a just weight is His delight. Did you hear it? Yahweh Himself, the Creator of heaven and earth, calls a false weight not just a sin, but an abomination. In other words, if you're believing the evidence of one side without weighing the evidence of the other side, you're abominable to your God. But a just weight is His delight. See, that's not a legal theory. That's the Torah. That's the Almighty telling us how truth is supposed to work. And then in Proverbs 20 and verse 3, different weights are an abomination to Yahweh, and a false balance is not good. Do you know what that means? It means having one standard for your friends and another for your enemies. It means weighing evidence one-sided without demanding the other side. Anytime you hear someone accused of something and you dare draw a conclusion because of the so-called receipts or the so-called evidence that you have seen with your own eyes, that's not weighing the evidence. Oh no. It means the scales have been moved based on your feelings rather than facts, and God hates it. He doesn't just like it. He said it's an abomination, the same word He uses for idolatry. Now think about what a rabbit hole actually does. It never lets the scales settle, ever. It keeps piling accusations on one side while ignoring everything on the other side. Or worse than that, not even trying to find out the other side of the story. It renders verdicts without weight. It condemns without measure. It uses one standard for the ones on the side you agree with and another for the opposing side. And my friend, that's not seeking the truth. That's a false balance, and we are all guilty, and it needs to end. Because when you live in a rabbit hole, when you refuse to let the scales come to rest, you're not being vigilant. you're violating the very principle that the Almighty established for how truth is supposed to be measured. So when I talk about preponderance of the evidence, when I talk about weight instead of volume, letting the scales tip and then accepting wherever they land. I'm not giving you American law, I'm giving you God's law. The principle did not start in Philadelphia, it started in Eden. It was codified at Mount Sinai, and it will be enforced at the great judgment day. A just weight is his delight. A false balance is an abomination. Every rabbit hole in America is built on a false balance. Let me define this term, rabbit hole, so that we're all on the same page, all right? A rabbit hole is not curiosity. Curiosity is healthy. Curiosity is good. Yahweh gave us curious minds for a reason. A rabbit hole is something else. It is curiosity completely untethered from any resolution. That's when we go from curiosity. Everyone that gets in a rabbit hole, they will never be satisfied with any answer from any court, from any government. That's called a rabbit hole. It's what happens when you keep asking questions that no longer has any mechanism for an answer. Do you understand? That's when we start moving from questions into obsession. When there is no answer available, because there's no scales to weigh it on. There's no referee. There's no process to settle it. Let me show you how to spot a rabbit hole. A system. Let's talk about a system of justice. It has rules, forums, referees, and most importantly, it has an endpoint. You go through the process. You reach a conclusion. Maybe you like it. Maybe you don't, but it's over. Maybe you agree with it. Maybe you don't, but that's it. That's the stop sign. Stop. We have a system, and that's the end of the road. Stop. But a rabbit hole is contrary-wise. Endless speculation. Endless. You hear that word endless? No final authority. There is no one that someone in a rabbit hole trusts to give the deciding verdict. No final authority. No closure. There's no exit. Do you see the difference? A system, even a broken one, eventually says, we're done. A rabbit hole never says that. There's always one more thread, one more clue, one more, did you see that? What if? One more video someone found on a foreign website at 3 a.m. And once you're in, my friend, no amount of evidence from the other side will be enough. You will not weigh it. Because the rabbit hole does not want resolution. It wants company. Now, here's the lie that people tell themselves, and I've heard it 100 times. If our institutions fail me, I have to keep digging. Now that sounds noble, does it not? Sounds like integrity. But my friend, it's a trap. Because here's the truth. If our institutions fail, in America specifically, our question becomes unanswerable. I need you to hear what I just said. If our institutions fail us, there is no answer available. It's over. Stop. It's done. You can keep digging. The system is finished. And it's no longer yours to solve. You were not deputized. You don't have subpoena power. You cannot compel testimony. You cannot cross-examine witnesses. You're not a one-person investigative bureau. And when you try to be, you don't find truth. You lose yourself. A society where every citizen believes they're personally responsible for solving every unresolved question. That's not freedom. That's madness with good intentions. I'll be right back.
The volatility of the U.S. dollar is a harsh reality. We've seen the stock market come across ramped losses, even over the past 20 years. There's a need for an alternate financial strategy. How about gold or silver? Welcome to God's Money. With the PSI Security Platform, you can build your wealth and secure your future with precious metals that withstand the test of time. Gold and silver are the secrets the wealthy have used to accumulate and protect their wealth for decades. God's Money works with a team of world-class experts to deliver rare, high-quality, unique precious metals at impressive prices. Don't have the money to invest in silver and gold? No problem. Join our Coin of the Month program. With this amazing program, we will send you a little silver on a monthly basis. Consider this opportunity before it's too late. Act now. Go to www.godsmoney.info.
Professor Toto from the clandestine confines of the Conservative College. On today's briefing, I want to talk to you about something that we don't teach anymore, something that your grandparents understood instinctively, but you do not. Something that held our country together for 200 years, and something that we've almost completely lost. I'm talking about the compact. Yes, the compact. What is the compact? When our founders built this great nation, they did not just write laws. What they created from a divided society, 13 different colonies, different ways of thinking, they created a compact or an agreement, an unspoken understanding between everyone that joined that compact. And it goes something like this: we, the people, agree to create institutions bigger than our individual selves. Courts, legislatures, investigative bodies, law enforcement, police officers, military, we give them authority to pursue the truth on our behalf so we don't have to do it. We agree on standards of evidence, what's admissible, what's not. We create the rules. We agree on burdens of proof. We agree on processes that have ending points. And then, now here's the hard part, then we the people agree to accept the conclusion of the institutions that we created. Even if our gut tells us the institution got it wrong. Even when it feels like something's not right. Even when the verdict does not match our suspicion, that is the great American compact. That's what makes a republic possible. Now, this is not blind trust. Before you push back and say, oh, that's blind trust, I'm not telling you to believe everything the government says. And I'm definitely not teaching you that our institutions are perfect. They're not. They're run by fallen men. And those fallen men fail all the time. But here's what I am telling you. Necessary trust is not the same as naive trust. Necessary trust. A society cannot function if every citizen and every podcaster appoints themselves judge, jury, executioner on every unresolved question. At that point, you don't have a republic. You have 300 million private detectives. You have 300 million private realities, and that's not freedom. That's the end of the compact. Let me show you how this compact works, my fellow citizen. A crime is committed. Investigators investigate. Evidence is gathered. A trial is held. A verdict is rendered. Now, you might disagree with that verdict. We all disagreed with the O.J. Simpson verdict, did we not? You might think the jury got it wrong. You might have a gut feeling that justice was not served. But here's what the compact requires: that you accept the process, because you created the process. Not because it's perfect, but because it's shared. Because without a shared process, there is never a resolution for anyone. The alternative is everyone investigating everything forever. And it is there that madness lives. This is Professor Toto. I'm just getting started. Tomorrow, I'll pick up right here on the briefing with Professor Toto. Have a great day, my fellow American.